This episode of The Story So Far is brought to you by Squarespace. Here we are in the future, and it's
nothing to worry about anyway.
Oh, God. Steven Universe Future and the series as a whole is coming to a close next month, and with new episodes right around the corner, it only makes sense that now that we have this Story So Far series, we would recap the first half of this epilogue. So whether if you're a Steven Universe fan who fell off before Future began, or you generally never watched the series before but you want to get a decent idea of what's going on, or if you just need a refresher, here's everything you need to know about what's gone down. Obvious spoilers, let's dive in. 2 years after the events that Change Your Mind, and a little bit of time after Steven Universe the movie, Steven and the Crystal Gems are still at it, aiding gems from all across the universe by inviting them to enroll in their homeschool within Little Home World, properly titled Little Homeschool. Little Homeschool provides the opportunities for gems to learn more about themselves and even live on Earth if they desire, remolding their identity in this new era. However, not everyone has given Era 3 a warm welcome, namely the likes of Jasper, someone still in Steven's mind because he suspects she's still hurting over the diamonds, including his mother, Pink Diamond. So despite Amethyst telling Steven to move on from Jasper, that she's a lost cause,
Man, her.
Steven pays the court soldier a visit, Jasper now living isolated in the woods. However, Jasper only has the cold shoulder to offer, sparking an argument as Steven calls Jasper out for sulking in the woods, waiting for someone to give her a purpose through battle when Steven is trying to give her a purpose through peace. Jasper then challenges Steven to a battle, stating that's the only way he's going to boss her around. Steven surprisingly accepts, but immediately jumps to defensive tactics, evading as much physical contact as possible until Jasper pins him into a corner. Or more so, the ground, with her foot. You get the idea. Jasper returns the favor from earlier and sizes Steven up, deducing that he believes everyone needs help. But really, Steven's the one who needs help, his codependency on his friends being his ultimate downfall. These harsh words strike a nerve, triggering a mysterious transformation within Steven, his body being encased with a pink glow. Equipped with a boost in stamina and strength, Steven's provoked enough to actually fight back, which of course alerts him he doesn't want to hurt anybody. But Jasper was loving it, disgusted at Steven's empathy. Steven offers Jasper a new purpose in teaching him, claiming that she unlocked something he didn't even know was in him, but Jasper declines. However, when Steven asks if he can pay her a visit again, she doesn't decline. Yet Steven's strange powers are just beginning. After Amethyst assigns the students of Little Homeschool new jobs across the boardwalk, Steven feels as if they're too on the nose from what they used to do.
It's just like we used to do on Homeworld. Thanks, Amethyst!
Attempting to push everyone out of their comfort zone. Ironic considering the direction we're headed in, but once Steven's adjustments throws everything off the rails. He and Amethyst form smoky courts, and in a moment where it seems as if blood will be on their hands, their panic triggers a reaction within Steven's gem, causing the fusion to glow pink as they travel at light speed. The day is saved, the Little Homeschool students revert back to their previous assignments on the boardwalk, and Steven and Amethyst share a conversation about Steven's future. Steven realizing through this experience that although he still wants to help people, he may be losing his touch. So he's not really sure what he wants to do with his future, and unfortunately, he may have to confront some more deep-seated issues before figuring that out. As one morning, the human zoo mysteriously docks in front of his house, J6 and Y10 revealing that the Zoomans pretty much now run the ship, and they turned it into a cruise ship. However, the reason for visiting actually deals with the fact that Steven has some more direct visitors, those being the unbubbled rose quartz gems, though 3 in particular really wanted to hang out with him. Each of these rose quartzes representing a different quality about his mother, and considering for how long a gem lives, a single year is barely even a day to them. So when you think about it, they wasted no time heading towards Steven. However, the rose quartzes make Steven and the crystal gems very uncomfortable, and despite Steven's best efforts, it's just too hard for him to have a good time. Fortunately, the rose quartz gems reveal they're in the exact same boat. They were bubbled for looking just like Steven's mother. She stole their identity, and they paid for it. However, they come to the conclusion that of course both parties would be able to relate, Steven realizing that the rose quartz gems are more akin to siblings than anything else, leaving the door open for them to visit in the future. But the mommy issues don't stop there. One day, while on healing duty, Steven is visited by Pink Pearl, who's actually interested in Steven healing her cracked eye, but his powers don't do the trick. Steven makes the assumption that White Diamond was responsible for this damage, only for Pink Pearl to reveal that Steven's mother was held accountable, briefly triggering Steven's pink transformation. However, Steven calms himself down and turns to Pearl for assistance, who initially has a weird and somewhat show-offy dynamic with Pink Pearl. Pearl, or as they nickname her, Volleyball.
I love your energy. It reminds me of when I was younger. You.
The three decide to head to the Reef, which was essentially a one-stop shop for Pearl maintenance and upgrades. A place where all pearls were created. The Reef's AI, Shell, initially recognizes Steven as Pink Diamond, but accepts the correction to Steven Universe. The Reef attempts to heal Volleyball to no avail, insinuating that Volleyball's injury at this stage is more psychological than anything else, as there's no damage to the gemstone. However, Volleyball denies that anything's wrong, only for the crack on her eye to spread even further. Volleyball casually shares the details of how Pink Diamond cracked her eye, which gets to Steven and triggers another Pink reaction, stating he can't handle hearing another horrible thing about his mother. However, in doing so, he unleashes the same ability that cracked Volleyball in the first place. The Shell, recognizing the damage, chalks up the situation as nothing more than the pearls misbehaving, which conveys how the diamonds viewed any pearls that would upset their owner. There's nothing wrong with the pearls, not the gem they belong to. Moments before being rejuvenated, Pearl and Volleyball confide in one another and share a tender moment that leads to the birth of a new fusion, Mega Pearl, or Prince Pearl. With Prince Pearl and Steven's combined efforts, Steven disables the AI and they return home. Steven down in the dumps over his inability to help Volleyball and heal her eye. However, Mega Pearl assures that Steven did help, that because he brought these two gems together, they both finally have the full picture of who Pink Diamond was. As much as I love recapping cartoons, we gotta keep the lights on, so let's have a quick word from our sponsor. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. Squarespace gives people a powerful and beautiful online platform to create your very own website. It's how we built the current Roundtable site. You can add videos from YouTube, Vimeo, and Animoto, and add an image overlay to your video to improve your website's loading speed. Squarespace is able to authenticate your social media, allowing you to auto-post content to Twitter, Facebook, personal or brand page, or even Tumblr. All images and posts are optimized and tagged, so descriptions and titles will be displayed correctly. Create a powerful visual experience. Bring your website's background to life with a video of your choice. You can go to squarespace.com/theroundtable to get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, or just hit the link in the description below. Some time passes, and after a series of bizarre pranks that are kind of inoffensive, Steven discovers that a new gem now resides on Earth, Bluebird Azurite, a fusion consisting of two of Steven's greatest adversaries, Eyeball and Aquamarine. Steven sees right through the fusion's facade, but everyone else is willing to give Bluebird the benefit of the doubt, keeping their eye on her, but trusting that this truly is a new leaf. Long story short, it's not. Once Bluebird gets their hands on Greg, they make a list of demands, and if Steven fails, Greg will lose his life. Steven of course stands his ground, and Greg manages to get out of the situation by cutting his hair. The luscious locks, they're gone. Steven throws down a gauntlet and engages in a battle with Aquamarine and Eyeball, going full-on pink and anime. Eyeball and Aquamarine struggle to fuse, and once Steven takes note of this, he powers down, trying to lecture them on the nuances of fusion, only for the gems to disregard it as, there he is being corny again. However, once they're reminded of that mutual hatred for Steven, their bond is reinforced, causing Bluebird Azurite to come back to existence, this time with a vengeance and a sword. Steven struggles to keep up, but Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl check up on him, only to find Bluebird caught red-handed, and the Crystal Gems following up on Garnet's promise to squash them right in their tracks. Aquamarine and Eyeball flee, swearing that they'll still be out there hating Steven, and Greg reassures them that although Steven gives everyone the opportunity to change, not everyone is going to want to change, and that doesn't reflect anything negative onto Steven's character. More time passes, Little Homeschool begins its third quarter, but one day Steven and the gems find themselves snowed in. The gems use this as an opportunity to play Steven tag, as they notice that since Steven's grown up, he's escaped all the amenities of being a kid. He's not as close to the gems as he used to be, and they attempt to change that. Steven pleads to the gems that he does not want to be seen as a child any longer, but admits that he did enjoy playing Steven tag with them, giving reassurance to this loving family. Speaking of hope, Steven recruits Lapis on a mission to scope out a new alien planet, as he hears rumors of other Lapis Lazulis terraforming planets. Once the rumors are confirmed true, Steven and Lapis do their best to convert these gems over to Little Homeschool, one gem warming up to the idea, and the other completely repulsed. Ultimately, both of these Lazulis are a bit unwilling to listen, prompting Lapis to handle things her way and mop the floor with them, briefly being put on the ropes before unleashing her true power. However, Lapis is reminded of how far she's come and how much of an impact Steven has had on her, deciding to cease their feud as long as they cease terraforming planets. Both Leslies are quick to agree, but only because of our Lapis's power. Lapis grows even more frustrated, stating that the true strength is to not kick their asses, and Steven hands the two Homeworld Gems pamphlets for Little Homeschool, the gold freckled Lapis who warmed up to them earlier, taking them up on their offer. Fast forward to the end of Little Homeschool's first semester, Steven happens to catch up with both Lars and Sadie at Lars' bakery, where Steven discovers that Sadie is dating someone new, a partner named Shep. This news greatly disturbs Steven, and to add insult to injury, Steven learns that after the off-colors graduate, they're all heading back into space to find new adventure. Lars asking Steven if he plans to leave Little Homeschool now that it's all up and running. It's had a successful school year. However, Steven is once again reminded that he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, something that stays on his mind all the way into the graduation itself. Steven makes some awkward small talk with Sadie and Shep, only to discover that even more people are giving a move on with their life as the band Sadie Killer and the Suspects has disbanded, the cool kids all heading off in their own directions, finding their own success in different avenues. Steven's always revolved his life around helping his friends, and now they're leaving him. There's effectively no more people to help, but that can't be true. Lars is hiding his feelings about Sadie, right? He's not over her. They need to talk about things. He can't just be okay with her having a partner. Feeling as if he needs this drama, he needs Lars to open up about Sadie, he needs Lars and Sadie to need him, Steven subconsciously triggers his pink form and traps his friends in the dome, stating there's no way they can move on until Lars and Sadie talk about their feelings, only for the two to reveal they did talk without Steven because it was private, that they're on good terms, that they're happy that they both found what makes them happy, that Sadie has found someone new that makes her happy. There truly is no problem. But having no problem is a problem for Steven. In that moment, he feels as if having no problems to solve is suffocating, causing him to feel a bit claustrophobic, which causes the dome to cave in. As it looks as if Steven's friends are going to be crushed, they remind him that even if they're not all together, they're still going to be his friends, no matter how far apart they are. Shep informing Steven that if he doesn't let his friends grow, he's going to suffocate them. Steven, now having a better understanding of his feelings, is able to revert back to normal, and the dome ceases. Lars leaves the door open for Steven to visit him in space, and Steven decides to quit Little Homeschool, finding that people moving on with their lives and leaving him, even at the school, it's depressing to him, but he can't figure out why he needs to be needed. Feeling as if all of his friends are leaving him and that no one really understands him, Steven begins to occupy his time with a new hobby, plants. However, he names each and every plant after a loved one, and remarks that these plants won't be able to leave him because they're stuck and planted to the ground, dependent on Steven to grow. However, the gems are greatly concerned about Steven, Garnet informing Steven to keep an eye on his cactus. I wonder why she said that. Steven ends up pricking his finger on a cactus, and after applying a bit of his own saliva, the cactus comes to life. Steven has a new friend, and the plant begins to recite everything Steven confides in it, which proves to backfire, because after pouring his guts out, Cactus Steven spills all of Steven's personal thoughts out to the gems. Steven scolding his cactus in private because he feels as if the gems know what's going on, Pearl's going to blame herself, and that this is going to act as if she's so mature, and that Garnet's going to give him high and mighty advice. Clearly, Steven isn't in a good place and is beginning to affect his judgment and perception. But toxicity breeds. Cactus Steven adopts more of Steven's aggressive feelings, as Steven begins to shun it. The next morning, Cactus Steven attacks, reciting back to Steven all of his personal thoughts, Steven forced to confront the person he's becoming. The gems assist Steven in the battle against his wishes, and as the cactus grows to new heights, it begins to recite Steven's private thoughts towards the gems as each attack individually. Steven realizes that the cactus is reciting all of his personal thoughts because it's going off of the only influence it's had, Steven, who's not the best influence right now. Steven attempts to make amends by offering peace to the cactus, giving it a hug, and the cactus reciprocates, growing as a person figuratively and literally, handing Steven a flower, but heading off in its own direction. Steven thought plants couldn't leave him, and they still did. The gems ask if Steven has anything he wants to talk about, but Steven claims that he's already said enough, bottling up his thoughts and emotions from his loved ones. And there you have it, the story of Steven and his future thus far. Will Steven be able to confront his complex emotions? What lies in store for him in the gems? Let us know your thoughts on the story so far in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for my own thoughts, you can find me at OshrickFox. We're also on Instagram. Help Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of the channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoy this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. OshrickFox, signing out.